Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Season 1, Episode 21 of Sweet Combat. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Won't lie to you, episode kind of got me hyped. As you know, I am a sucker for a good romance, and even though I know exactly where the story is going to go, how this all plays out, to some extent, obviously, because obviously there's quite a bit that's different, but for the most part, I know where things are going to end up, where people are going to end up for the most part. So it's still the thing of, I got so excited for this just on the notion, because there is such big differences between this and the webtoon, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Anyway, picking up after last episode, we had Zhao Feng and Tian's fight, and Yi Chen is still running his mouth until Guanyan comes over and he's like, right, Tian, like, look at him, like, despite everything, he's still got his eyes open, he's watching everything Zhao Feng does, and it's like, given enough time and training, even Tian, if he keeps up with it, will be able to defeat Zhao Feng one day. And it's like, can Yi Chen even say that? And it's like, that was enough to shut him up. But this, it continues, like, once again, that character's refusal to grow and change. It's interesting because we see him meeting up later on with Shi Wei, which I was like, interesting. So that's how we're twisting this, because, like, once again, that the bully character pretty much disappears from the story. He has no relevance to Tien really going, I mean, for Jaegu in the webtoon going forward. Like I said, pops up maybe 3 times, somewhat related to Jaegu, but not really. That scene he had with Shi Wei, it's different, but there's a similar scene in the webtoon, but it's between the fiance suitor character and another character named Jonathan. So it's interesting seeing that Yi Chen is kind of playing that role. It's like, hey, we both hate Tien because, hey, you want to get with Feng Yu and he's someone that's close to her, because it's not until like Yi Chen, we don't even know how they even know each other. Like, how did that, I guess just maybe they met each other at playing billiards or something like that. I don't know. Like, what is their connection? Do they know each other in what capacity? Like, they seemed like associated enough. So, but I guess it's like maybe ever since like everything went down, he's been kind of following a different, I don't know. I'm still curious how those two paths cross, unless it was just purely through the billiard situation. You're just them playing pool. But when it's all said and done, he finds out about who Tien is. It's like, oh, not only do I recognize this is the guy who claimed he didn't know Feng Yu, and now on top of that, I also remember you, the guy that spilled wine on me. So Yi Chen has beef with him. So does Shi Wei, because it's like, hey, you're someone that's close to Feng Yu, and obviously she doesn't like me, but apparently she likes you. And so he tracks down Tien at work. In fact, Yi Chen knows enough about him to point him in the right direction, and he confronts Tien. And he's kind of like, right, you think you really have a shot with her? You're poor. You think like any of that's going to make... Like, once again, your lives are 2 different places. But and I think this speaks volumes of how much Tien's grown. Like, he didn't let that bother him, and he spoke his mind, saying like, right, you're someone that thinks like, you know, just with like money. Like, the fact is that someone like you could never be with Feng Yu, because the fact is you're so blind to it that you need to take a look at yourself as a person. Those qualities are why Feng Yu will never be with. It doesn't matter if you have money or not, because that's not something that like matters, or like you don't know her enough that you being a terrible person and your crappy personality is the reason why. And this is also what I talked about previously. I said that that fiance suitor character is a douchebag in the webtoon, but I told you that they were going to make him even, like, because of how they've handled Shi Wei, I was like, oh, he's even more of a garbage person in the live action. Because the situation he has with Yi Chen, that's actually the last time you see the suitor character in the webtoon. Like, him setting up a deal of, like, basically... He wasn't intentionally going after Jaegu. I believe it was just him going after everyone. In this particular case, he's going after Jaegu, but... I mean, going after Tien in the TV show, but he wasn't intentionally solely going after Jaegu. He was going to kind of go after everyone. But like I said, that's the last time he ever pops up in the webtoon, is him and Jonathan plotting to go after them. Maybe it was specifically Jaegu. I don't remember. I think, like I said, I think it was an attack on all fronts. But yeah, like, they definitely orchestrated stuff to come after Jaegu intentionally. So I did forget about that angle to it. So there was like some very like narrowing of the vision of like who you're like directly going after. So there's a similar boat there, but like I said, I'm curious to see, will this be the last time you see Shiwei under these circumstances, especially because he made it clear to Yi Chen, like, I'm not going to go after him directly, because if I do, that's going to ruin any chance of me and Fang Yu getting together. So what I have to do is handle this indirectly. He's the guy that would never get his hands dirty. Of course, he'd pay someone else to do it. That's the interesting thing too, because whereas Yi Chen's kind of playing a little bit of the Jonathan character, so is he. Because Home Dude, like I said, he wasn't as nefarious. He becomes nefarious the last time you see him, because he's just kind of like, right, they embarrassed me, yada yada, I want my revenge. But he is adopting a lot more the Jonathan perspective, because Jonathan's the one that orchestrated like sending people after our squad in the first place. But that confrontation, all right, I'm skipping over some things. So, well, I'll go ahead and finish my thought about it. That confrontation with Shiwei made Tien say, like, right, he meets up with Hao. It's like, right, we got to look out for him. But Hao's like, yeah, I know that guy's probably a snake. I can already read him. He's not a good dude. So it's like, right, we'll look after Fang Yu. And he's like, I want you to make sure you stay by her side and protect her and make sure that she's happy. Like, for him, it's like, even if I'm not the one that's able to make her happy, as long as she's happy, that's what makes me happy. Similar thing for Hao, like, made that point a couple episodes back as well. But he's like, oh, so you want me to be the one by her side? And he's like, yeah, I do. And I forgot how the conversation shifted, but basically it became a thing of, oh, right, like, she's going to need you, like, you know, she's scared, or like, she isn't always like, she isn't queen when it comes to this type of stuff. It's like she needs someone to comfort her. And Hal's like, yeah, you should be that person. He's like, why? He's like, because you like her. And he's like, what? It's like, yeah, dude, we all know that you like her. It's pretty clear as day. And the fact of the matter is, like, you know, and how being a bro, it's like, yeah, and Queen likes you too. And he's like, wait, what? Stop joking. Because, like, once again, he couldn't even fathom, like, he knows how he feels about her, but it never crossed his mind that she might feel the same way about him. That's why he's like, oh, it's a joke. And he's like, no, I'm not joking. Like, she does like you. Like, why do you think, like, the fact is, the Chow Mein situation, I misconstrued that, and that's why I was saying all that stuff to you, because I thought she actually was spending that time because she liked me, but she was learning how to cook chow mein just for you. And he was almost like, wait, what? Like, it took him back. And for him, he admits, like, he does like her, but it's just, what it comes down to is he just doesn't think he's good enough for her. But it's also like, nah, dude, you're a good dude. Like, don't get so caught up in that, you know? Because even now, he's like, right, like, Tien's like, we should have a fair competition. He's like, see what I mean? You're a good dude. You're, even with everything as it is, you're talking about a fair competition. It's like, man, like, that's the type of good dude that you are, Tien. So it's like, right, like, you know, take that shot, like, go for it. Like, tell her how you feel, you know? And I love that because, once again, Hao isn't a character from the webtoon, but he's filling the role of other characters, because Jaegu has those conversations with, like, 2 other characters. Once again, this conversation more so isn't just about Queen, it's about Queen and Dao Dao. Because at this point in the story, not this exact point, but when these conversations start coming up, this is when Jaegu finds out, wait, Dao Dao likes me, wait, Queen likes me, how do I feel? Or have I accidentally been stringing them along? And so he has 2 different characters, like the character, and once again, I always forget her name, but I think it's like Jingu and her friend. They are the people that kind of give him relationship advice. Because Jingu is like, she's like, yo, Dao Dao's my friend, so I'm on her team, and I'm also your friend, but I'm giving you advice. And the other character is kind of like an outside perspective. She's a minor recurring character that also gives Jaegu advice from time to time. Once again, like, some of Yanan's character is adopted from her, like, aesthetically and stuff. But hearing all that, it kind of gave Jaegu, I mean, I'm doing it again, sorry, Tien, the motivation to go tell Queen how he feels, especially when his siblings were overhearing everything, and they're like, go, like, do what Sun Hao says, go for it, and they're like giving him their support. So he ends up accidentally running into Queen at the ice cream shop, and, you know, it's like, right, they're about to close up, but I keep calling Jaegu, Tien pulls a favor, and they sit down and have ice cream, and he asks her, it's like, so I have this senior who apparently, like, I've been told likes me. And then she's almost like, wait, what? She's kind of like caught off guard by it. Because in his mind, it's like, right, there's no way Queen actually likes me, because he thinks about the time she was like, don't think I did it because I like you or anything. And then also when she told Yana all the stuff, like, right, I don't like Tien, it's this and this. But that was just because, especially at the time, she hadn't quite figured out how she felt. Those were the early feelings of she did like him, but I don't think she really registered it as that. But like, it became clearer and clearer with more time. You're allowed to change your mind. You might not like someone, or you might be confused about how you feel about him, but like, she's gotten a lot more clarity over the course of the show so far. And so Tien's kind of broaching the question, like, did you ever like me? And she's just kind of like, I got something to do. I was like, dude, don't let her walk away. And he doesn't. I'm like, okay, are we gonna do this? And then I'm like, come on. I was like, he's like you never answered my question. And she's like, okay, I'll answer your question. I admit it. Yes, I do like you. I'm like, oh my, because I was scared that she was going to get too afraid and say no. But in that moment, like, he hugs her and says like, good, because I feel the same way. I was like, oh my God, this is happening. This is amazing. Once again, I'll get into it more when I finish talking about it, why like it's so crazy, like how vastly different that kind of is from the webtoon in some capacities. But like I said, we'll get to it in a second. But he talks about like, because he's like, right, I've always felt this way about you. And she's like, why did you ever say anything? He's like, because I felt like I never felt like I was good enough to be with you. And it's like, right, I can't last long against you in a match. And she's like, well, you'll improve. It's like, well, I'm poor and I have enough to support my siblings and me, but that's about it. Like, I can't take you to a movie. She's like, then we'll download a movie and watch it on our phones. I'm like, oh, this is so sweet. And it was just this really beautiful thing of just kind of like, I'm not going to get so caught up in that stuff. Like, I like you, and that's all that should matter in this moment. And she kissed him on the cheek, saying like it was his punishment, because she's like, because he also admitted, he was like, I should answer the other question too. What Yana asked? Yes. When I saw you get in that car with Weishi, I got jealous. And even the chow mein thing with Hao, I was jealous. And then she kissed him on the cheek and says, yeah, that's your punishment. Because she's like, when Zhao Mi kissed you, it bothered me. Because it's like, I don't like anyone else touching you. I should be the only one touching you. And then they kissed. I won't lie to you. I hooted and hollered. I was like, yes. I got so hyped. I was like, that's amazing. And now this is where I'm going to start talking about the differences between the webtoon. The interesting thing is, like, I think Queen has kissed Jaegu on the cheek before, if I remember correctly, at least once or twice. But in the webtoon, they only kiss on the lips once. It's not even at the end of the series. It's closing. It's like in the final chunk of the series. But it was a complete and utter accident. Because like, he's sitting down and she kneels down. She wants to kiss him on the cheek, but he accidentally turns at the, wrong time, but really right time. And they accidentally kiss on the lips. Their only lip kiss is an accident. Even it's kind of a thing about the final chapter. Like, they don't even kiss in the final chapter. We'll see, like, if they play it the same way at the end of this series. You know, we'll talk about it more there. But yeah, so, which is so interesting too, because Dao Dao's kind of like kissed him on the cheek, and she's also like indirectly kissed him, but not even on the lips. Whereas in the I don't remember if I said Dao Dao or Zhao Mi. Zhao Mi is who I was talking about here. Like, in the live action, she's only kissed him like on the side of the face to get that piece of rice. And like, it wasn't directly on the lips, it's kind of the corner of his lip, and she's kissed him on the cheek. Similar thing for Dao Dao, except Dao Dao has kissed him on the lips. But the difference is, Jaegu initiated Tien initiated the kiss in this. That's a massive difference, because anytime Dao Dao kissed him, that was her doing it, kind of sneakily doing it. And like I said, the Queen kiss, it's like that was 100% on accident. So, but for him to like grab her and like kiss her, I was like, yo, that's amazing. And once again, we're at a point where he's already made it clear to Zhao Mi that he doesn't feel that way about her. So it's not the complicated circumstance that Jaegu, Dao Dao, and Queen found themselves in the series. We could still get there to some extent, because Zhao Mi, no one knows about this. Yana, nor Hao, nor Zhao Mi, none of them know what happened, because they're kind of keeping this to themselves. Plays a little bit like the webtoon too, because they had the confession about liking each other. It was actually kind of very similar now that I'm thinking about, where she tried to run away after saying her feelings, because she's like, right, I don't need to hear whatever you say as long as I got to say what I got to say. But then he grabs her and stops her and says, I like you too. So it's a very similar thing. Once again, it just didn't end with like a lips locking type of situation. But I was just like so hyped. And I love that she was like so happy. She comes home, she runs into her brother. She's like, oh my God. She's like, I love you so much. You're so cute today. And just kind of blows kisses at him and walks away. He turns to the screen. He's like, what happened to my sister? She possessed by Sadako? He's like, oh, she's so weird. What's that about? I was like, they're both in such good moods. Even Tien's siblings are like, did something happen? Is our brother sick? It's like, I don't know. Why'd he come back looking like that? He's like, yeah, he's sick. Love sick. I was like, that's amazing. I was like, that's so dope. Okay, so now that I'm done talking about that bit, I want to circle back to like after his fight with Zhao Feng, Tien went back to, and he let Zhao Mi and Yanan know what he was up to, and he gives them the lowdown on like, right, she's faster than Yanan and she's stronger than Zhao Mi. But he's also pointing out like, right, your strengths and weaknesses don't fully define you because you can't overcome them. So it's like she might be faster than Yanan, but it's like she's not as strong. And it's just like he's pointing out that each one of them still has an advantage. As long as they keep at it, they train and work on it, they can, and now not underestimate her. Zhao Feng can be someone they can beat. So it was a worthwhile experience. And I don't think I talked about this last episode. If I remember correctly, I do believe he does fight Hieshin in the ring. I think a similar thing does happen where it's like Guanyan's there to kind of like talk about it. I want to say the same thing happened with like Manam kind of did a similar thing too. So I do believe that's, for the most part, I believe that sequence is kind of straight out of the webtoon as well. I didn't remember it until the episode started. I'm like, I do feel like I vaguely remember that exact scene, because I think there was a situation where she was kind of caught off guard during the fight where she thought she knows Jaegu's move enough, and then I think what Tien does where he jumps up and does like the spin kick, I believe, like the taekwondo kick, I do believe he does something similar that it doesn't knock her out, but it did catch her off guard. I believe a similar thing did happen. I think, like I said, I do believe that's strongly something straight from the webtoon. You also have this situation with Yanan's dad asking about Hao's mom. It's like, yeah, I kind of, it's like, right, when you do something, you should apologize, right? He's just going about this very roundabout way of making an excuse to go see her again, but he doesn't really I love that he was like, Yanan, I want to have a heart-to-heart with you. She's like, okay, dad, and she punches him, and it's like, how could you do that? I wasn't even prepared. How could you hit your dad? She's like, we wanted to have a heart-to-heart. That's how we do our heart-to-heart. He's like, well, you didn't even let me finish. She's like, you never let me finish before you like deal the first blow. And he's like, all right, I'll forgive you this time because that's 100% true. But he's like, yeah, this is what happens with Hao's mom. I want to apologize. I want to kind of, I'm not big into owing people anything, which is kind of something like everyone in that group can kind of, like Yanan's exactly like that. Queen's kind of like that. So is Tien. It just different things have led to that mentality that each of them have about that. But he wants an excuse to go see her. And it's like, yeah, because even Yanan's like, why do you want? He's like, no, I just want to, he's like, where do they live? Oh, you don't know where they live. Oh, go to their shop. Oh yeah, Hao's father died, sadly passed away some time ago, so it's just her. And he's like, just her, huh? So I guess he was like worried, like, what if she's married? What if she's got, someone in her life? Seems like she's perfectly single, so I thought that was pretty neat. I was like, I love that kind of update to that. So I can't wait for, once again, I brought that up previously, like, yeah, both your kids are going to be out of town, so it's kind of the perfect time for some networking, if you want to put it like that. Some connections, some misconnections type of situation. So I'm curious to see how that plays out, that interaction. But staying on Yanan, she actually asked Tien after doing some training, like, oh, you were at the school, so like, how's Guanyan? And Guanyan was like, yeah, don't tell Yanan about my circumstances. She'll just worry. So Tien's like, yeah, he's perfectly fine. In fact, he's the one that set up the fight with Zhao Feng, which you can tell Yanan's kind of like, really? Is that the case? But I think it's also kind of like, right, like, because she hasn't run, like, he's avoided her, like, like the only time they've talked is like the theme park, and then also every text message he's sending. But outside of that, they haven't really interacted. So she's like, I haven't seen him in a while. Especially because like, well, the tournament was supposed to be over, and once the tournament was over, well, it's not over. It's over for him at least. Then he was going to come back and start training here, but he knows that's probably going to cause more issues. So he's probably, because the point was going to be like after the tournament was over anyway. So probably after the finals, he'd probably start showing up again, and he probably feels like, well, considering the circumstances I'm in right now, I'm just going to like cause more of a headache for like Yanan and everyone else if I go over to like her family's boxing gym right now. So, but Yanan shows up, dressed, got a little hair bow / clip in her hair. She's looking for Guanyan at the boxing club, but doesn't see him. Then she finds out, like, wait, Zhao Feng is the person. Like, what happened to Guanyan? It's like, oh, he got promoted. He's now cleaning doing all the janitorial duties in the school. And then Yanan sees Guanyan cleaning up, and she feels bad because she's like, right, I know this is all because of us. And it's like, and she's also pissed because like, you idiot, why didn't you tell me this was what was happening? Why'd you like keep that all to yourself? And the moment Zhao Feng showed up, I was like, oh god. I was like hoping at least she'd take a little like, oh wow, like you actually care enough about Guanyan, you're heartbroken about seeing this. But given the opportunity, Zhao Feng, she hadn't pulled the trigger on it yet, and I was like, oh, is she just not going to say anything? Because obviously she's misconstruing the conversation because she only heard part of it. But I was like, I'm surprised she's not going to use that against Yanan. Oh, here she is. We don't get to see it, but we'll probably next episode flash back to the full conversation. But she saw how down Yanan was, and because Yanan kind of had it above her in twofold. One, Guanyan chose Yanan over her, so she's still vengeful about that. So she still feels the way she does. She had made it clear like she hadn't given up on him. I think even post all the tournament stuff, like she's still kind of like, I mean, once again, even though the preliminaries are done, but the finals aren't. Like, I think even post all that, she might still have feelings for him, or like a lot of those feelings have been contorted into like hate and resentment. But whatever the case may be, she's really like, that you feel so bad because she just took that knife and she twisted it when it came to Yanan, which is so unfortunate and sad. And now, like, Yanan's sitting on that because later on he sends her a text. It's reason number 76, and she's not even happy about it because now, like, in her head, it's like, right, he only got with me so he can learn the death strike from my dad. He doesn't really like me, which is such a shame because, for one, Zhao Feng did not hear the entire conversation. Like, she probably... Because the thing is, she has a hard time believing Guanyan would really like her. So she's not like... Even though she says she's not going to believe a word Zhao Feng says, it does... Because she knows that, right, he is interested in learning the death strike. We already had that conversation. So the moment Zhao Feng brings that up, it also confirms what she was already scared of. Oh, he doesn't genuinely like me. He has to have other ulterior motives for it. So it just plays into her being like, right, there's no way he would actually like me. So I think a lot of that twofold hit makes it more like she doesn't want to believe it because it's Zhao Feng, but she also does believe it because it's almost like in her mind it's like it makes sense. Of course, like he'd have a reason. Like that's the real reason. My dad set this up. He doesn't genuinely feel this way. But even though it's like, once again, Zhao Feng did not hear the entire conversation. Plus, yes, that's what it started off as. Like, your father offered that, but Guanyan from the very get-go was like, no, I want to, like, if I'm going to make, like, if I want to be with her, I want it to be genuine. I don't want it to be just, oh, let me get with Yanan just so I can learn the technique. It's like, no, like, I care for her deeply, you know, and he made it clear when he started having feelings for her. And it's not until Yanan talks to her dad is she going to potentially find that out. She's probably also going to be pissed at Tien because it's like, you lied to me and told me Guanyan was like, fine, I know the truth. And maybe Tien can give her some perspective of, I know why Guanyan like dipped out of the match the way he did. It's like the sincere reasons why he did it. Like, I know. And he doesn't want you to worry, so that's why he didn't want me to tell you his circumstances. So I don't know. We'll see. But we could tell, like, obviously she's lost a little of that spark. Because when they were doing their celebratory bye, you could tell, like, how heartbroken she was in that moment. So it's such a shame, too. Because, like, the heartbreak is going all around because, well, Zhao Mi's in an excited mood because it's like, yes, Fang Yu won't be here, so it's going to be my opportunity to go to war. I'm going after Tian with full force, and she's so happy about it. She's like on the battlefield of Normandy, happy. She's like, yeah, I'm going to like just do my thing. But then like Hao is looking and staring at both of them, and he's kind of like, crap. I gotta warn Tian not to tell Zhao Mi that I told him how Feng Yu feels, because the moment she finds out, and then he imagines himself on the battlefield getting shot by her. I'm like, yeah, she's gonna murder you. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's not good. So, but obviously, you know, the thing is that Feng Yu can't go to, you know, and I was curious about that. I brought that up last episode. I was like, I don't know if Tian knows, but he did know, because she actually brought that up during the conversation. So he sends her a text saying like, right, we're at the airport, take care like on your trip to Dubai. But we got the very ending of the episode where it's like, hey, there's going to be some plane difficulty, so you're going to have to take another flight. So I don't think she's thought of it yet, but maybe next episode is like, hey, why don't I take a flight to Macau, chill there for a little bit? Oh no, there's a problem. I can't get a flight to Dubai. You know, I'm sure that's going to be like the thing. Like at least she can meet up with the others, or maybe happenstance she'll be able to buy a ticket to get on the plane with the crew to Macau. We'll have to see, because if she does get to go on that plane, for one, two things. One, I'd love it if they like do get to Macau and Queen's there already, like she ends up getting there around the same time they do, or she manages to get on a flight. Either way, it's just a question of, does Zhao Mi get heartbroken immediately, being like, no, why does Queen have to be here? Or does she get heartbroken later where she's like happy, like, yeah, me and Tian, wait, we show up here and Queen's here, you know? So that's definitely going to be interesting to see. It's also going to be interesting to see, obviously, Shi Wei once again has his plans for revenge, and he is good. He says like everyone has a weakness; it's just about exploiting it. Well, we know what Tian's weakness is, and it's the same thing that gets used against him in the webtoon. It's also been used against him before, even in the show and in the webtoon as well in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see how that orchestrates, how that plays out, and how that's represented in the live action versus how it was done in the webtoon. I'm curious to see, and like also like I was curious to see like, how much will we see Shi Wei or Yi Chen like after this point, like after this kind of like arc is done? Because even though Queen and I was about to do it again, sorry. Queen and Tian are in a good place, there's still that, Uncle G as well as Tian's dad angle, which is probably, it's a new angle that's going to cause a complication in their relationship. So and like I said, it's just going to be interesting to see where the next episode takes us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.